Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the charts for the Bitcoin mining stocks. First, let's start off with fear and greed and CNN index still in fear and pie vesting, come down from extreme greed, getting towards that neutral area. As far as crypto fear and greed, we were in extreme fear not too long ago, kicking up now towards that neutral area, still down in fear. And you can see on the fear and greed index, we're still in this downtrend. I'm still wondering, is this forming a base? Is this getting ready to possibly form an uptrend? But right now, we're just hanging out here in the middle. Something else to consider, and this has happened before, is that when fear has consolidated or accumulated for a while, the bottom actually came in later. And similar with greed, when greed has accumulated for a while, the top actually came in later. So wondering if we're seeing something like that. Of course, when it comes to Bitcoin mining stocks or altcoins, very important thing to pay attention to is Bitcoin dominance. And if it's going down quite a bit, then you will probably see your mining stocks go up if you have chosen the right one. So right now, nothing like that is happening yet. But Bitcoin dominance, I believe, is getting towards the upper end of the chart. Alt season index still at the lower end. And subscribe if you want to hear more about Bitcoin and current Bitcoin price action, because these altcoins, these mining stocks go the way Bitcoin goes. So we talk about the rainbow chart every week. And yeah, still hanging out in this accumulate phase right here. So going over to the Bitcoin and then the mining stocks, we had that big red candle and sell signal last week. Came down to the lower end of the channel, still sitting on the 50-week moving average and the lower end of this channel. However, we do have some weakness going on in here. Before, when it was hitting the upper part of the channel, now it doesn't even have the strength to get there. So got rejected off the 20. I am wondering if this is just getting ready to roll over, get to the 786 fib or around 50K, but the 100-week moving average around 46K, and there's some price action back here, is really the target I'm looking for. And again, Bitcoin dominance, what we're looking for right here, if we zoom out, is these big sell-offs right here. This one took about a month and a half. This one took a month. This was alt season in 2017. This was alt season in 2021. And when Bitcoin dominance tanked to the lower 40%, that's when, if you're in the right altcoins or the right miners, they went up 10, 20x, as crazy as that sounds. So let's jump into the mining stocks and take a look at the current price action. I didn't throw on the buy sell signal because obviously we're just in a sell zone. So I'm throwing on the RSI, seeing if we can catch any divergence or seeing if we're oversold on any of them. And right here for Mara, you can see it's hitting this lower end of the trend line right here. So I kind of like this as far as a dollar cost average area. So you can see this descending wedge and drew this trend line, and it's just hitting these lower ends of the candles here. So if it does break down through that, next area I would be looking for is around 1083. But right now, anywhere around this $13.50 range isn't bad. You can see it's ticked up a little bit to 15, so that's good. 15 puts it's getting close to getting above that 0.5 fib right here. But should it get rejected, then yes, it'd be probably coming down to the 1330 range or the upper $10 range. Let's zoom in, take a look at the daily. Yeah, you can see it right there. So came up to the 0.5 fib, and who knows, maybe it'll start breaking through and challenging the daily moving averages as resistance. See what happens at these levels at around 18 bucks and 16 bucks. So you can see on the daily, the RSI, it double bottomed, and then we have gotten to move up. So I like, for macro plays, I do like looking at the weekly in the RSI. When it double bottoms, I typically like getting in, especially at the second bottom. We haven't had that yet on the weekly. So yeah, overall, don't hate it here as far as value is concerned. Let's go over to Riot. and Riot's been struggling lately. So Mara, as it was holding up that lower trend line, you can see that Riot broke down and through it. However, it is still hanging around that 236 fib, the lower fib here. Does have some price action a little bit lower at the $6 range, but I think this is nice deep value for Riot. If it got down to $5, in my opinion, that would be a price that I would not want to miss. Anything $5 or under, if Riot is a Bitcoin mining stock that I truly love and believe in. So something to ask yourself. There are different looking charts for different mining stocks. Some of them are showing more weakness. And so there's two ways to look at it. Bullish and bearish is one, less people are interested in it maybe this time around. Maybe it's not as good of a mining stock this time around. Or way you could look at it, all things being in crypto, is that maybe you can get more deeper value and the potential for many more multipliers in a cycle alt season for crypto would be that much bigger. So two ways to look at it here. I do like this as far as deeper value. So do your research, see if Riot is one that you like and there's a possible deep value there. Again, look at this on the RSI double bottom. It did get a little bit lower. So I might wait for it to show that there truly is some bullishness. Typically what I see is it'll come up a little bit, come back down, test the oversold, not always. And when it does, if it tests and it's higher and going sort of upwards like this, then that can be a good time to buy. So let's go over to CleanSpark. And CleanSpark, what do we got? Let's zoom out. Similar things on the RSI. You can see right there, it's settling on the 0.5 fib. Let's zoom out to the weekly. And the weekly kind of shows the same thing. So settling at the 0.5 fib. If CleanSpark's something you like, I don't hate the level here. Do know we have this ascending trend line right here. And if it gets down to that, as well as some price action back here, if it breaks underneath the 0.5 fib, then you should look for something in the high $6, low $7 range as the next level of support. So something to keep an eye on should things get bearish. It might get a good bounce right here. That's entirely possible. But again, if it breaks down further, high $6, $7 range might be the next good value area for CleanSpark. I'll try moving through these a little bit quicker, and that way get our quick analysis and then go on from there. And guys, the reason I'm giving the lower targets, areas to watch a bounce, is obviously things are bearish right now. So until they turn green and positive, I wouldn't be talking as much about the upper end price targets. So right now we're just trying to catch deals if these are any that you like. Cypher, a mining stock I do like, is you can see here there's a lot of price action back here. If we draw a trend line, just a horizontal trend line, you can see with those red dotted lines, it's kind of one right there, that it does have a lot of price action here. And should it come lower, again, we have this 0.5 fib that it's hit a bunch before at $2.42. Right now, the RSI, it is breaking down a little bit. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But again, the 0.5 fib would have to hold. And man, if that didn't, I could see an even bigger fall coming to $1.60. But again, here in Market Psychology, we want to look for opportunities where there's fear. And if you were buying in up here, and you liked it enough to buy up here, that means you did enough research to say, I like this mining stock, I'm going to get in, I'm going to buy it right here. And then it broke down. It's sad. Guys do know it's nearly impossible to buy the exact bottoms. You don't have to buy the exact bottoms. So if you have a monthly budget, which I recommend, that's what I do, not a financial advice, of course, but if you do have a monthly budget, and again, if you like something here, then you want to love it when it's at a discount. And if an asset you're buying is at a discount, you're getting even better value. So you want to really mentally commit to whatever it is you're buying, unless, of course, there's obvious writing on the wall that an asset, stock, whatever, is just completely going to die and you want to cut your losses. I'm not saying this is anywhere near that, but when it's at a discount, that's when you want to add into your position and look for greater opportunities. So next, let's get into, let's see, we have TeraWolf next. And comment below, what miners do you like? What miners might you possibly own or believe in? So Yeah, let me know in the comments below. And as far as TeraWolf, holding up a little bit better candle-wise than some of the other mining stocks we looked at. So didn't even come down as far. You can see it's making higher lows, lower highs, so creating this triangle wedge formation. And typically when stocks do that, or cryptos, it's getting ready to break out up or down either way. Up, then you would look at it testing that 0.5 fib and 200-week moving average, which it has not been able to truly get past before. So that'd be around the upper $4, $5 range. And if it goes lower, it did like that 100-week moving average support at 347. And then, of course, you have the 50 and the 382 fib here between 287 and the lower $3. So if it did get down to the middle, low $3 range, not so bad a value. And you can see here, speaking of wedges, when TeraWolf broke out, yes, it could come down. It could even test this wedge at $2. I don't care. I'd still think this is good value. So unless it broke under this trend line or got to the 236, I would not be feeling bad about TeraWolf. So anywhere in here, I think is possible good times for deals. And next, let's go to Bit Digital. And Bit Digital, got to stretch out this fib a little bit, which we have not done in a while. I'll try to get that as exact as I can. So you can see Bit Digital hanging out at the 382 fib. It has liked this level before, gone down underneath it a bit. And as you can see, as low as it went over here, you can see it was just hanging out at the upper end of these price wicks back here. So Bit Digital, you might be able to expect something similar if it breaks under the 382 at 255. Again, I think the price is decent right now, but if it did break underneath that, then that lower $2 range would be the next area that it's had a decent bounce off of before. Next, we'll go over to Bitfarms, and Bitfarms, you can see it's all those moving averages really converge together, and it's just hanging on to the 0.5 fib. Last time it did that, it was able to get a bounce off the trend line, but it's broken underneath the trend line. Not that it can't come back up to it and the 618 area that it struggled with in the past, but should Bitfarms get a little bit bearish, then next area I'd be watching for, yeah, it would be this 3.2 at about $1.33 in that area. So don't hate it here, but if you are willing to be patient, this might be an area that comes into play later on, that $1.30 area. We have two more. Let's get to Iris Energy, and Iris Energy hanging out at that ascending trend line. So again, you might like this as a good dollar cost averaging area. And again, guys, the ways I look at the charts, I try to have a handful of indicators I use and be really good at them and look at them that way. We can throw on 100 different indicators, but find the ones that work for you. Try to simplify things in ways that you understand. So I use the Fibonacci retracement. That's these different colored lines. I use the moving averages, trend lines, RSI, and buy-sell signals. And that overall, I think, is one of the simplest, easiest ways to look at charts. So right now, I kind of like this as a good value play, but if it did break that trend line, then you can see Iris is like that 0.5 fib in the past, and that might be an area to look for it, better value if it does get down to the 540 range. But right here, I don't think it's the absolute worst. You can wait and be patient for a buy signal to come in. Sometimes when you buy just red candles, they can continue being red, what's called falling knives, and you don't want to catch a falling knife. So you can wait for confirmation. If you do, of course, there's a risk that it comes up a little bit. But again, you don't need to have 100% of the profit sandwich. By the time the buy signal comes in, that's just the lower slice, and you can try to get everything in the middle. So you can still get 60 to 80% profits by waiting for some of those confirmation signals. Last one, let's take a look at Core Scientific. In this one, I do like to keep looking at because it is a newer mining stock / altcoin that came out around the Bitcoin ETF. So I want to see what the newer ones are doing as far as their price action. I think it kind of shows us, are we really bearish or not? In this one, it isn't. It hasn't even come down to the 236 fib again yet. But if it did, I'd say that's a decent area for a bounce at around 854. So me personally, I don't really like getting into any new altcoins, mining stocks, new stocks in general. It's you can look at other IPOs, and a lot of them within a year or two can have these brutal sell-offs. So I like to wait and be patient on those. I think if we are looking at the charts for any sort of a competitive advantage with technical analysis, it's not easy. It is a bit harder to do. So, not that we can't do it, but just know you are running greater risk. So that's where we are, guys. As far as the markets right now, is it getting ready to possibly do a reversal? The one thing that might lead me to believe that is just this bounce it had off the channel back here. But we do have rate cuts coming up with the Fed this week, next week. And so that's obviously going to put a shock into the markets. And either way, I think as far as how much the Fed rate cuts will be showing more or less what's happening in the short or long term. Typically, this is what's happened in the past. They're doing 50 basis point cuts. Then things can get worse sooner than later, or at least they have before. And 25 basis points are still a little bit of room to run. So that's what I'm keeping my eye on first and foremost. And I think that will affect all the markets, stocks, cryptos accordingly. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Take care.